Nuclear waste. What is the nuclear waste? Nuclear waste is the radioactive material after use are called nuclear waste. Radioactive materials after use become nuclear waste, and they are very harmful. They are quite harmful because they will still be emitting radiations, and that radiations will cause harmful effect on us or on the living organisms. So, nuclear waste are the radioactive substances after use are called nuclear waste. For example, in nuclear reactor we use control rods, we use uranium fuel, we use radioactive materials. In hospitals, the injections are given that cobalt 60. So they are the example of nuclear waste. Once you don't use them, so they only become the waste, and they are very harmful. They need to be disposed very safely, otherwise they will cause harmful effect on us. How do we dispose them? Safety disposal of nuclear waste is done by collecting the radioactive materials after use and putting them into a thick lead cask, thick lead box, lead metal box, and burying them underground. The box must be buried underground in an isolated area, in an isolated place where there is no inhabitants, where the people are not staying. In that area will be burying underground, and that area must be sealed. That area must be prohibited for the other public to go into that area. That is how we dispose the nuclear waste safely. Sometimes we don't take care and they cause harmful effect. Last time what had happened in the year 2012, in Delhi there was a market called Mayapuri market. In that market there was a scrap shop, scrappers. They buy old materials, all those garbages and all, waste and all they buy, and they send it to some factories for recycling. So over there, six workers, they bought, the scrappers had bought waste or the garbages from JNU lab, Jawaharlal Nehru University's lab, chemistry lab. And in that waste, in those garbages, there was some nuclear waste, like cobalt 60, some radioactive materials were there. And those poor fellows, six of them, they were not aware of it, the nuclear waste. They came close to them and they got radiations. They were sick for quite some time and they all died. After a few days, they all died. So that's why the nuclear waste needs to be disposed very safely. Sometimes in the hospitals and all, they'll be dumping, the syringes, X-ray plates, many medicines and all they dump over there. But one should be very careful while dumping them. If there is any radioactive materials or the nuclear medicines or the nuclear substances, so they will be the nuclear waste and they will be very harmful. Their radiations will cause harmful effect, too much harmful effect in the environment. So that is the reason why we need to dispose them very safely. And I suggested the method how we can dispose them safely by putting them into thick lead box, lead box, and burying them underground in an isolated area, and the area needs to be sealed. The area we have to seal, so that the people should be aware that this is the place for the disposal of nuclear waste. Some nuclear wastes are there in that area, so they should not go in that area, in that zone. So that was about the nuclear waste. Example of nuclear waste, I said nuclear medicine in the hospitals. In the nuclear reactor, we have uranium fuel, we got control rods, they all are nuclear waste. Once we use them, so they only become the waste. And they are quite harmful. Okay. Then we have the next topic is called background radiation. Background. Just have an analysis of theoretical background radiation. Background radiation. Background radiation. This is the radiation to which we all are exposed throughout the day and even at night. Means we cannot avoid such radiations. The radiations to which we all are exposed throughout, and such radiations are unavoidable. We cannot avoid them, are called background radiations. Like for example, sun rays, solar energy is reaching the earth. Can we avoid them? Answer is no. There are radiations coming from the space in the form of cosmic rays. They are reaching the earth, on all of us are receiving them. Can we avoid them? So answer is no. Volcanic mountains are there are radioactive mines. From there also the radiations are coming out. Can we avoid them? Answer is no. In our bodies also we got some radioactive materials, but in small quantity we have. So can we avoid them? Answer is no. Such radiations are called background radiations. We don't bother much about the background radiations because their total amount of radiation is very low. The total dosage of this radiation is very low. That's why this is not a matter of our concern. We don't bother much about it, this kind of radiation, because these radiations are always there and then they will not cause harmful effect on us because their quantity is very small. So such radiations are called background radiations. There are two sources of background radiations, external source and internal source. What are the external sources of background radiations? We say solar energy, cosmic rays, radiation from volcanic mountains, radiation from the radioactive mines, radiation from the from the crust of the earth. From the earth's crust we get some radiations and all. So these radiations are the external source of background radiations. What are the internal source? Internal source within our body we have potassium. Potassium present in our blood. Potassium, one isotope of potassium is there in our blood. That is also radioactive. That is the internal source. We have radium in our bones. Radium, small quantity of radium is there in our bones. We have radioiodine, an isotope of iodine present in our thyroid gland, and which is actually rather helping us from getting preventing us from getting goiter. Goiter, you know that in the neck there will be a ball out there, so that is called goiter. So it is because of the radioactive present in the thyroid gland we don't get those. Swollen glands. Thyroid gland we don't get. That is called goiter. So they are rather helpful. So these are the internal sources of background radiations. I hope you understand what is background radiations. The radiations to which all of us are exposed throughout. Such radiations are background radiation. There are two types of sources, external and internal. I already told you. And we don't bother so much about the background radiations because their total amount is very small. So, and they don't cause harmful effect on us. Okay. Now how to detect background radiation? Background radiation is detected by a device called Geiger counter. Geiger counter. In the notes you will find this name. Geiger counter, or we call it ionization box. Ionization box. This ionization box is a kind of black box out there. Inside there will be some metals. When radiations will be received by that device, the device sends the current in the circuit. And by knowing the value of current, we can check how much radiation, background radiation is available there in that area. If the background radiation value is too much, then the person will not be allowed to live in that area. So that area will be prohibited for the people to stay or to live there in that area. So background radiation detected by Geiger counter, or we call it ionization box. So this was the syllabus of this chapter till here. Whatever I discussed, background radiations and all those radioactivity. Last time whatever I said, this is the syllabus of this chapter, radioactivity. Did I teach you about this one? The symbols I taught you that electron we write like this. This is called electron or beta particle. 1s1 we write for proton. Neutron we write like this. I told you already. Alpha particle we write like this 2, 4. And the gamma is this gamma. These are the symbols. I already taught them. Okay. So with this information, this chapter is over, and then we start new chapter, heat. Okay.